Hey dear readers, this is T. Harriman, and today I am going to be talking to you about how to make your life a fairy tale. Before we launch into this topic, which, contrary to what you might expect, has enormous practical significance for our daily lives and as well for my writing, hit the like and subscribe button, and then we will be off to talk about how to make your life a fairy tale and indeed why you want to do this in the first place. Now, you may ask yourself, T. Harriman, why? In fact, first of all, are we in your bathroom? Well, that's because I wanted to show you how very much I try to make my home an escape, a sanctuary, a refuge from the outside world. So much so that it extends to my bathroom. And I have, I like the romantic wallpaper. I have a shapely chair, and basically I try to take this idea of my home being a refuge, a sanctuary, and I try to extend it throughout my home. Now, actually, this is the second time that I have shot this blog. The first time I got all the way through it, and I was thrilled. I was thinking, man, I got all my points out. I didn't use any disfluencies like or, things like that. And I start to edit it, and I notice there's a great big blob of cat hair hanging from my chest. So here's hoping second time's the charm. All right, so why do you even want to make your life a fairy tale? After all, everybody knows, if you've logged into any social media site, you have heard people bitterly exclaim that life is not a fairy tale, no one will come rescue you, life is mean, one should be cynical and depend on oneself and things like that. And I think that is probably not the best, most constructive way to look at life. Fairy tales have been perpetuated through the millennia because they have a purpose. They cheer us up. They teach us stories. And so I don't think we should just because the year is 2021 or whatever year you are looking at this, I don't think we should just, throw out the idea of fairy tales. The truth is that humans have the need to make sense out of their lives. And we are constantly doing this. And fairy tales are just another way of making sense out of our lives. Now, it's at this moment that I really encourage you to think about, well, what are the messages, what are the stories that you tell yourself about your life? Are you angry or scared or anxious because you're afraid your dreams aren't going to come true? Well, it's at this juncture then that you need to turn to the lessons that fairy tales can teach us and learn how to reinterpret your life from a more constructive, positive viewpoint. No matter what, as a human being, you're going to tell yourself a story about your life. So why shouldn't the story be a good one, a positive one that inspires you to excel every day and to make your life a better place? Better to have a fairy tale interpretation of your life than one that is just, well, nothing good is ever going to happen to me, so why should I try? Now, first of all, we have this idea that fairy tales aren't real, um, that they are inaccurate portrayals of reality. Well, now, given I am not going to claim that there's any talking wolves out there, or homes made completely of candy or whatever else we encounter in these fairy tales. Okay, fine, that I will give you. However, think about the fact that pretty much every fairy tale you encounter revolves around a problem. Without Cinderella's horrible home life, this story becomes convinced to, a chick goes to a ball and gets married. I mean, there's no story in that. So that in and of itself shows you that fairy tales do not ignore the presence of problems. Not for once should I say that you should ignore your problems. In fact, quite the opposite. Deal with them. But as you deal with them, put a positive spin on them. And in fact, you might even want to write down each of your life problems. And, get a journal, pretty journal, or open up a file on your laptop. I don't care. Whatever you're going to enjoy most. And I am going to suggest that you just write out your problem. Write out your problem. And write out another problem. And then see what you have learned through each of these problems. How have you overcome each of these problems? And in that way, you can see that if you just look at life from a more positive viewpoint, you can make your life feel so much more sweeter, so much more magical. And once you open the door to a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of happiness, it's amazing how much more will start to pour in. Now, this is a nice mental, remembering that I taught interpersonal communication at the university level full-time for 12 years. I am offering you this exercise and this new way of life, not to merely take up your time, but indeed to provide you more of it. Because I'm really confident that once we start lifting those burdens of depression and hopelessness, that we start seeing, hey, wait a second, something good happened here. Good things are happening, and you start opening your mind to the more possibilities that could happen. So that is what I'm going to say about why you need fairy tales in your life today, and how if you follow my little exercise, you can reframe your life as a fairy tale in just a few minutes. Now, I think there's one more caveat that I need to tackle before I close with you today. And that is that you're going to say, Rebecca, I have seen things that cannot be unseen. I have endured horrific traumas. I am undergoing post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm having panic attacks. Really horrible things are happening to me. I'm being betrayed. I'm undergoing a drug addiction. Things like this. And if that is the case, I want to send a hug through the miles to you. I'm sending you my love, my best wishes. and my blessings. And I know that I have been through some very, very hard times. And I mean, there's portions of my life that sound just like a blues song. But it's at this juncture when things are at their darkest that I want you to look for that light. That I want you to look for that light and to keep hanging on, because I care for you, and there are other people who love you. If not now, if you can't see them, they're there in the future, or they are there in the past. Nobody is ever alone. And so if you are going through those darkest of dark times, I want you to continue to remind yourself every day that you are making your life into a fairy tale. You are making sense out of your life. You are, and I want you to look for little bits of sweetness, even if it's just a ray of sunlight. I want you to look for those little bits of sweetness so that at the end of life, you can tell yourself, but you know what? I can see where I made a happy ending out of all of this. I can see where even though all the terrible times I went through, I was able to extract a happily ever after all. Okay, so all of this being said, I hope to do more vlogs about how to make your life more fairy tale-y. And you will see that in my writing that I try to introduce the idea of sort of like a refuge, a sanctuary, where we can withdraw to get away from our everyday stressors and our hard times. And so I will, I'm hoping to talk more about how to make our lives more like fairy tales, and also how to make our lives more cozy. Because I think both of these, not only are they simple ways of gaining more satisfaction and fulfillment and happiness in our lives, but I think they're also ways of dealing with our problems. They're coping mechanisms. So again, smash that subscribe button so that you can be alerted for when I make these vlogs for you. Don't forget that I do have more hints on how to make your life cozy, and I will have more hints on how to make your life more like a fairy tale on my blog at www.tharriman.com. So, and last but not least, I'd like for you all to subscribe below if you believe that, that if you believe that life should be like a fairy tale, and showing us examples of just how to do this. How do you introduce enchantment, joy, magic into your everyday life? And this way we'll help each other. I've already said it before, but you can't wish too little love around. The world always needs more love. So I'm sending all of you my love, hugs, blessings, and absolute best wishes for a fabulous day.